At 38 years old, Lionel Messi was supposed to be easing into retirement. Instead, he was standing under the Florida lights, pink shirt soaked in champagne, lifting yet another trophy, and dragging an American club that used to sit at the bottom of the table to the very top of its league. People called it his 47th career trophy. Others argued over the exact number. But that night, one thing was obvious. No one in football history had ever aged like this. So how did the kid from Rosario end up redefining the end of a football career in Miami, of all places? 2 years before that MLS Cup final, Messi had already done the one thing the world thought he would never do. In Qatar, he led Argentina to the 2022 World Cup in a way that didn't feel real. He scored in the group stage, in the round of 16, in the quarterfinal, in the semifinal, and then twice in that insane final against France. He finished the tournament with 7 goals and 3 assists, took home the Golden Ball, and ended a 36-year wait for Argentina on the biggest stage in football. Every game felt like a test of his entire career. Against the Netherlands, he calmly buried a penalty in a match that turned into a war. Against Croatia, he twisted Joško Gvardiol inside out on the right wing before laying on one of the most replayed assists of his life. And in the final, when Kylian Mbappe dragged France back from the dead, Messi still found a way to put Argentina ahead again in extra time. When he lifted that trophy in Lusail, it looked like a perfect ending. For his country, the story was complete. Argentina finally had their 3rd star, and the image of Messi kissing the World Cup instantly became one of the most iconic photos in football history. But while Argentina was singing his name, Paris was starting to turn. At PSG, the numbers looked good on paper. Goals, assists, another Ligue 1 title. In the 2022-23 season, he hit double figures in both goals and assists in the league, and formed a front three with Neymar and Mbappe that should have scared everyone. Yet every Champions League exit hit harder than the last. When Real Madrid knocked them out in 2022 and Bayern Munich did the same in 2023, the mood at the Parc des Princes flipped. Instead of celebrating having the greatest player of all time, a section of the PSG crowd started whistling him. You'd see him walk off the pitch after a loss and hear boos aimed at a guy who had just carried his country to immortality. French media questioned his effort. Pundits debated whether he still cared about club football. Headlines dissected every walk back in transition, every moment he didn't press. The World Cup win gave him peace in Argentina, but in Paris, it gave critics a new stick to beat him with. If he can run like that for his country, why doesn't he do it every week for us? Inside the club, his future was never clear. Contract talks dragged on, financial fair play, dressing room politics, and constant pressure from fans made renewal messy. By the spring of 2023, it felt like everyone knew how this was going to end. Messi would leave, and PSG would spin the story as just another superstar passing through. By the summer, after another Champions League failure and protests outside the training ground, his contract quietly ran down. The same player who had just delivered the ultimate trophy for Argentina was suddenly being treated like a problem to solve rather than a gift to protect. Leaving Europe should have been the final chapter. Instead, it was the plot twist. That summer, he had 3 doors in front of him. One was Saudi Arabia, with a contract so huge it barely sounded real. Another was Barcelona, the club where he became Messi, but now trapped in financial chaos, trying to find a way to bring him home without breaking the rules. He chose the 3rd door, Inter Miami. On paper, it made no sense. This wasn't a European giant, it wasn't a Champions League contender, it was an MLS expansion team that, at one point in 2023, was literally last in the league, dead last. People laughed and called it a retirement league move. They said he was going to disappear in a country that only cared about the NFL and the NBA. But behind that decision, there was more than a sunset and a nice house. There was David Beckham promising a serious project, a family life that made sense, and a chance to grow the game in a part of the world preparing to host the 2026 World Cup. Most people saw it as an epilogue. They didn't realize it was the start of a new arc. The first real sign that this wasn't just a vacation came in the league's cup. Messi landed in Miami, put on the number 10 in pink, and immediately started bending games to his will. In that 2023 Leagues Cup run, he scored 10 goals in 7 matches and basically turned a broken team into a killer in knockout football. The final against Nashville summed it up. In the first half, he picked up the ball at the edge of the box, cut inside and fired a shot into the top corner. Inter Miami's first ever trophy arrived barely a month after he walked through the door. For the league, it was a shockwave. Stadiums sold out just to see him warm up. Apple's viewing numbers exploded. Miami shirts vanished from club stores and suddenly appeared in random parks around the world. But it wasn't perfect. A hamstring issue stopped him in his tracks. He missed 5 of the last 6 MLS games. Inter Miami crashed out of the playoff race, and the critics came back fast. He can still play, but his body won't survive a full season. Leagues Cup felt like a teaser. The real test was whether he could stay elite over a long year. at an age when most legends are already on TV, not on the pitch. Before he could think about conquering MLS, there was one more national team mission. Copa America 2024, played in the United States. By then, Argentina were defending champions of everything. Copa 2021 and World Cup 2022. They were chasing a third straight major trophy, something only a handful of national teams had ever done. Messi was 37. He played 5 games, scored once, assisted once, and carried more than just the ball. He carried expectation. Every slight limp, every taped ankle became a talking point. The final was in Miami Gardens at Hard Rock Stadium. Argentina edged Colombia 1-0 in extra time, sealed a record 16th Copa America, and their 3rd major title in a row. The celebration was emotional, but the question hanging over it was brutal. How much longer could his body take this? By mid-2024, he had won almost everything there was to win, at an age where most players are carefully managing their knees and taking smaller roles. For many, this looked like the last giant trophy of his international career. What almost nobody expected was that his most physically demanding club season was still ahead of him. Back in Miami, the project stopped growing. It started accelerating. Messi didn't walk into a squad, he walked into a reunion. Alba flying down the left, Busquets bending the game into his rhythm, Suarez dragging defenders into panic, and Rodrigo de Paul bringing that Argentina fire that turns matches into street fights. By 2024, the message was clear. Miami weren't a viral moment. They owned the league, lifting the supporters' shield over a full 34-game grind. Then came 2025. At 38, Messi didn't fade. He went cinematic. Nearly 50 matches, 29 league goals, 16 assists, a golden boot won with ease. He wasn't hiding between the lines. He was still pressing in the 85th minute, still exploding into the box, still starting moves deep and finishing them seconds later. And as autumn arrived, one question swallowed Miami whole. Could a man nearing 40 finish the impossible? Could he really drag a last-place team to the top in just 3 seasons? MLS Cup 2025. Pioneer in Miami versus Vancouver Whitecaps at Chase Stadium in Fort Lauderdale. The last big game before the club moves to their new home at Miami Freedom Park. From the first whistle, the ball kept finding Messi. Early on, he drifted between the lines, pulled defenders with him, and slipped a pass into space that led to chaos in the box. Under pressure, Vancouver's Edier Ocampo sliced the clearance into his own net. Vancouver 0, Miami 1, and Messi hadn't even taken a shot yet. Vancouver hit back. A mistake from goalkeeper Rocco Rios Novo gifted them an equalizer, and for a moment the stadium went silent. That's when the 38-year-old changed the tempo. In the 71st minute, he stole the ball high up the pitch, glided forward, and waited that extra half second most players don't see. Then he slipped the pass into Rodrigo de Paul's stride. De Paul buried it, 2-1. Deep into stoppage time, with Vancouver chasing desperately, Messi did it again. This time he released Tadeo Allende, who finished for 3-1 and ended the contest. No free kick miracle, no solo dribble from halfway, just pure control of the match, reading spaces, creating goals, killing hope. When the final whistle went, Inter Miami had their first MLS Cup, and Messi had added another line to a list that already seemed impossible. By strict official counts, he was sitting somewhere between 46 and 48 team trophies, depending on whether you include conference titles and certain minor honors. Fans didn't care about the technicalities. On social media, the clip of him lifting the cup in pink went viral with the caption, "His 47th trophy, at 38. The exact number wasn't really the point anymore. What mattered was that no one else in history had stacked trophies this deep, this late. That MLS Cup wasn't just a trophy, it was a shockwave. First, it hit MLS. The retirement league myth died overnight. Messi didn't jog through games, he won everything. Leagues Cup, Supporters Shield, MLS Cup. A goal contribution nearly every match at 38. Suddenly clubs needed faster defenders, smarter coaches, and real ambition. Every game against Miami became a global event. Second, it rewrote aging itself. Most legends fade at 33. Messi didn't. 34, Copa America. 35, World Cup. 37, Copa America. 38, MLS Cup. 3 continents, 4 trophies, 1 truth. He was still deciding finals. Clubs everywhere started asking if the 30s were really the end or the beginning of a second peak. Finally, it shaped the GOAT debate heading into 2026. Ronaldo was scoring in Saudi Arabia. Messi was lifting trophies in the country about to host the World Cup, and an entire generation of American kids saw their first live Messi moment not in Barcelona, but in a packed MLS stadium, watching a 38-year-old in pink bend the sport to his will. Maybe that's the real legacy of this 47th trophy. Not the medal, the message. A player who was supposed to be finished crossed an ocean, rebuilt a broken club, and rewrote what the end of a career can look like. So if he walks into the 2026 World Cup at 39 chasing one more miracle, that night in Miami will be the reason nobody dares to count him out.